Okay, I'll make this video for Dad and I'll probably put it on Facebook, but I might put it on Red Barn Homestead, so I'll try to keep it honest. And it's not a how-to, it's a what the hell am I doing video. Hey Dad, so we've been having problems with the hydrant leaking on our water system, I think. At night, if we turn the water pump off, we would drop down to approximately 20 psi. But just 20 and then it would stop. But the last couple days, it's been going down to 0. So the water pump has to fill up all that piping and then pressurize the system. So obviously something has gone wrong. The water system only has 2 valves. It has this blue one you see here, which does hold, and the red one you see there, which doesn't. But it gets worse than that. So let me show you the adventure of where our water comes from. The power cable that you see here and this pipe here come from the pump. So the water comes up, it's 1-inch black poly through an elbow and then up to this rusted awful pressure switch. The switch is here, the gauge is here. This is very rusted and I really don't want to mess with any of it. The valve does hold and it works fine. It goes into the water tank. To be honest with you, I think this is a bladderless tank. It's just got a large gas bubble in it, and that's how the system pressurizes and depressurizes. There is some rust on the bottom, but I think it's in fairly decent shape. The next part of the system is back here. That's where the water comes out. So imagine this pipe comes in, there's an up to the tank, and then it comes over here. Back to 1-inch poly. Which goes into underneath our house. It's a wooden basement, so there's actually a very small sub-crawl space, if you will, below it. So looking down here, that black pipe from the tank is actually this one. What they've done is they've actually reduced it to 3/4 inch, and then it comes, it's hard to move this, then it comes to a T. And on that T, that side goes to the hydrant, which has to go, for those of you who don't know, hydrant's an outside water faucet. It's probably 300 feet away, about 300 feet underground away. And we use it to water the horses. This side of the T goes to the house. There's no valve. And our issue is I think the hydrant's leaking and I've got no means to isolate it from the house system outside of that one valve, which shuts everything down. So we're gonna fix that today. This 3/4 inch black poly goes through the copper adapter. As you can tell, it's kind of corroded here. And then it goes up to that valve, which does not work, or doesn't hold well. And then all the way up here by the electrical box, how cute. And then up to this contraption, which is also kind of a pain. What they did is they, I guess when they redid a new pump, they were getting a lot of sediment. And so what they did is they put in this filter thing here, but from this angle it's a little bit easier to see. It comes up and then that 90 is over bent, it comes down, then they switch it to this tubing. Then the tubing comes into this weird adapter to a copper segment, into the threads, to the filter, then out the threads, and then over here to this train wreck over here. And this has clearly leaked a lot in the past as well. I'm guessing due to stress and strain on, thanks to this thing just kind of being hung by string. So that's what we have to do. So what I'm planning to do to fix it is we're going to go with some PEX. And PEX is a copper alternative. That's pretty popular and pretty easy to do. So what I'm going to do, hopefully, is I'm going to hairdryer and warm this one up a little bit. So we're going to cut this one off right here. And we're going to put a 1-inch to 3/4 inch threaded adapter. In fact, my wife's already made it up for me right here. And that's 3/4 inch PEX. So we'll insert this in and seal it up with 2 clamps. And we'll PEX this end. And then we're just going to go up to about, I'm guessing about here or so, where this existing valve is. We're going to replace that all. All this pipe is going. We'll put a T here. From here, I'm going to put a valve. And this will come back down to the hydrant, and I have another black poly fitting that will adapt to here. And then we'll put another valve here, and then continue up. Now, because PEX is easy, and I can do it all in one run, we're going to come all the way up and probably intersect it about here. maybe here-ish or so. We'll cut it. We've got a PEX to copper adapter. Put it on here, and for now we'll get rid of all that since we're not using any of it anyway. That'll relieve that. It might give us some more pressure just because we're getting rid of so many fittings. And then down the road, when we get towards changing the water heater, and I'm sure we'll have an actual video on that, we'll get rid of this crap up here. As you can see, the copper crap is just, it's plugged here. It's got a little vampire clamp here. It's all 1/2 inch. I like to run 3/4 for a lot of the main supply stuff. If you got a sink, that 1/2 inch is fine, but for main supply I want at least 3/4 inch, so we'll be doing 3/4 inch PEX for that when we get to it. But for now we're just gonna intersect it here because I don't want to make this too much of a large project. And I got a 50-foot reel of PEX. That runs me about 40 bucks. The fittings and stuff are actually fairly cheap. We're borrowing the clamps from my sister and brother-in-law. Those are only about 40 bucks by themselves as well. But you know, we'll see, make sure we love it before we get them again. Maybe we just borrow them again when we do more piping. Anyway, that's what I'm doing, Dad. So that's the plan, and we're gonna get busy with that. So that's what my day is, and hopefully I'll tag another end on this that everything ended well. Hey Dad, I'm back. I want to use a very colorful expletive word here. We got it going again, but it's plumbed ass backwards. Those sons of bitches. I'll explain. So what I thought was the pipe going down to the hydrant isn't. We found out that out the hard way when we turned the pump on and water came out of the little 3/4 inch pipe. We're like, son of a bitch, it's not the 1 inch, it's the 3/4 inch as the actual water coming out. So crap. So how they had it plumbed up is that they had this water going straight to the house and then a side leg to the water tank. So this white PEX you see right over here actually just goes to the water tank, and then apparently, and we're gonna do some diagnostic work now that we have valves to kind of lock stuff out with, this goes to the hydrant. So what I thought was actually water coming in is water going out. Why is that so insanely stupid? And why I grip my teeth when I say that? That's because my pressure switch for the pump is on the other side of a valve. So in theory, if I close this valve and that pressure were to drop, the pump turns on and it doesn't know to stop ever. You know, there's no there's a valve in the way of my feedback mechanism to know my pump needs to turn off. So that is just bad shit awful design. So back to the ranch. So okay, fine, that's my supply. So my T is backwards, so we come up to the PEX here. Now we have a valve on our input, which is fine. We're gonna use that tonight to see if it is the pump that's leaking, and it's looking like that more so now. It comes to the T, that goes to the pressure tank, which I guess then comes down to the house and off to the hydrant. And then this comes up to the house. We did eliminate, and I didn't realize, because I'm naive, that PEX isn't that flexible. So it's not like hose where it's very bendy. So we did eliminate all that filter work, but I gotta get some elbows and we gotta clean that up. And then we just used a connector, PEX to copper connector here, and that was slicker than anything that went in the whole thing. The PEX is also amazing. Totally will use that again. Those are 3/4 inch ball valves. They give us the ability to turn things off. It's amazing. But this is not great. And without elbows, I can't make it look super pretty either. So, but we have water again. But the issue is we're still getting pressure loss. So when I closed this valve and it held pressure overnight, what it was actually, when I turned the pump off, what it was actually doing is, this is the hydrant. That's all hydrant piping. So that means the hydrant is actually holding pressure. So I was hoping it was failing. So it's a really cheap, easy fix. The only other thing that could be leaking is the house. And while we had this valve off and not even connected, we had dropped about 10 psi on its own. The only other device that can leak is the pump. So there's something faulty with the pump. I'm not as concerned because I'm not losing water somewhere. I'm losing it back down the pump hole into the pump. So I'm not, pumping my well dry. It's just going down. The problem is it's probably going to be $1,000 to $2,000 maybe to get that pump pulled out and replaced. So it's 300 feet down in the ground. So I got that going for me. But it'll run till spring probably, hopefully, cross your fingers. It's been going for a while now, so it's almost a year. So, but at least I'm not losing water, and that was a big thing. I don't want to run my pump dry and not have the ability to flush a toilet. So that's okay. But we learned a lot today. Learning that, you know, this house was overbuilt in some places. In other places, man, that irritates me. I got the little Tupperware thing. All our fittings don't leak. It's nice. This one has a hair drip on it, but if you look right now, nothing, there's one little drop of water there. So I've been talking for 5 minutes, so it's going to corrode up maybe. So I'm not worried about it yet. So that's that, Dad. And I'll put this on the Red Barn Homestead. So if you guys have questions or advice, we'll go ahead and take them, please. Subscribe to our channel, all that cool stuff. And I'll probably just dump it to Facebook too. So, all right, Dad, that's the lowdown on that. It's working again, but ends up being for naught, because I'm not isolating what I thought was a broken hydrant. I'm actually finding out that it's my pump that's bad, and thus everything else was kind of moot. Except, you know, I do feel a little better about this piping than I do the other corroded. Like, this is all, what the hell, dude. They had gone from 3/4 to inch to the pressure tank, and then out as an inch, and all its way as inch. Not 3/4, but it came in. I hate them. That's it. All right, see you later.